Okay, so picture this. Self-driving cars. They're not just something out of, like, Back to the Future anymore.
Nope.
Like, right now, really smart AI is actually out there learning to navigate our streets.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like what we thought was, way off in the future is, well, it's becoming real and fast.
Really fast.
And the thing that's making all this possible, it's AI, artificial intelligence.
AI, the brains of the operation. And that's what this deep dive is all about, right? Like, for you guys listening, we're going to really dig into the role of AI in autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
We've been poring over these excerpts from AI and the Autonomous Vehicle Revolution.
Great book.
And our mission here is to, break it all down, help you understand exactly how AI is turning self-driving cars from science fiction into something you can actually, see and touch.
Absolutely.
And we'll also look at what this all means for everyone, for the future of transportation. How we're all going to be getting around in the years to come.
Yeah, and just to be sure, we're all starting on the same page. When we talk about these autonomous vehicles, these AVs, what we mean is cars that can drive themselves.
No hands.
No human needed. And they do this by using this combination of, sensors, cameras, radar, all that. But the real magic is the AI. It's the brains behind it all.
The brains.
Yeah.
And it's not just like a theory anymore, right? I mean, you see these companies, like Tesla and Waymo.
Oh, yeah.
Even Uber. They're out there on the streets, testing these things, even starting to roll them out in certain places.
It's happening.
It's happening, and it's all thanks to AI, right? I mean, it's the AI that lets these cars do stuff like, swerve to avoid an obstacle, maybe even plan the fastest route from point A to point B.
Exactly.
All without a human even touching the steering wheel.
It's pretty amazing.
So let's dive in.
Yeah.
Like, how does AI actually do this? How does it allow these vehicles to actually perceive, understand, and, interact with the world, everything happening around them?
Okay, so the first thing is perception. Autonomous vehicles, they've got all kinds of sensors, right? There's LiDAR, which uses lasers to make these super detailed 3D maps.
3D maps, wow.
Then you've got radar, which uses radio waves to kind of see how far away things are and how fast they're moving.
That's clever.
And of course, you've got high definition cameras. They're constantly taking in visual information. But here's the thing, all that data, all those signals, they're not that useful on their own.
So what happens? What happens to all that data?
AI, that's where AI comes in. Algorithms take over and analyze all this information, all this data that's just flooding in, and they use it to create this really detailed, real-time model of what's happening around the car.
So it's like the car has these superpowers, these super senses, and it's the AI that's taking all those different pieces, like putting a puzzle together.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And that's how it understands what's going on.
Exactly.
So, wow.
So the AI can, for example, it can see a pedestrian stepping off the curb. It can tell the difference between a parked car and a motorcycle that's zipping by.
Yeah.
It can instantly read a speed limit sign, those things. And it can figure out the lane markings on the road, all that.
So it really gets the full picture.
And that's really important for safe navigation.
It has to, right?
Yeah.
To keep everyone safe.
Yeah. And it's not just when the weather's perfect, the AI is working all the time to spot obstacles and hazards, even when it's pouring rain.
Oh, wow.
Or super foggy.
Or even snowing.
Yeah, even snow. I mean, that's why this accurate perception is so crucial for people to trust these vehicles.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you want to feel confident that the car can see, no matter what's happening outside. So the AI's got this picture, right? It knows what's going on around it.
Right.
What's next? How does it decide what to do?
Okay, so that's where the decision-making and planning part comes in. You see, once the AI has got all this info from the sensors, it uses these algorithms, basically sets of
Rules. Okay.
to figure out the safest, most efficient way to move.
So it's planning.
It's planning, yeah. This could be anything from slowing down a bit to keep a safe distance from the car in front,
Makes sense.
to changing lanes to get around something blocking the road, okay?
Yeah.
Or even making a turn at a busy intersection, all those things.
That's a lot of decisions to make.
It is.
So I'm curious, can you give us a real world example that shows just how important this decision making is? For keeping people safe.
Okay, yeah. Imagine this. Someone walks out into the street,
Oh no.
right in front of the car, out of nowhere. Now the AI, it has to process all that data from the sensors super fast.
Super fast.
Instantly. It has to predict where that person's going to go next and then calculate the best way to avoid hitting them.
Wow.
So maybe it slams on the brakes or swerves a little. And this all has to happen in milliseconds.
Milliseconds. That's amazing.
The whole point is to keep everyone safe, you know?
Of course.
To pick the safest and most logical thing to do in any situation, no matter what.
So much faster than a human could ever react, right?
Yeah, in many cases, yeah.
And, these cars, they're gathering tons of data as they drive, right? I mean, all the time.
Oh, yeah, tons.
So how does that data help make the AI smarter, and the cars better over time?
That's where machine learning comes in. Like, as these cars are out there driving around, they're collecting so much data about all these different driving situations.
It's like real-world experience, but for a machine.
Yeah, it's like real-world experience on steroids,
Yeah.
And all this data, it's used to train and refine those AI models.
It's like it's going to school, kind of.
And there's this thing called deep learning, which uses these artificial neurons.
Wow.
To learn these really complex patterns.
Yep.
And this helps the AI get better and better at handling all kinds of tricky situations.
So the more it drives, the more it learns.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so think about some of the tough things you might face while driving, like merging onto a packed highway.
Oh, yeah.
Or navigating like a crazy intersection with lights changing and everything.
Yeah.
Or even just dealing with like debris in the road or potholes. The more the AI sees these things, the better it gets at dealing with them.
Absolutely.
It's like it's constantly getting smarter.
Right. And so over time, as it gathers more data, it makes better predictions.
Predictions, right.
And that means safer reactions on the road for everyone.
For everyone. That
Yeah.
makes sense. So more data, safer roads. Now, we also talked about this thing called V2X.
V2X, yeah.
That all about?
So V2X stands for Vehicle to Everything Communication. It's basically all these different ways that cars can talk to each other and to other things too.
Talk to each other like they're having conversation?
In a way, yeah. So you have V2V, vehicle to vehicle. That's where cars can share info directly.
Okay.
Then there's V2I, vehicle to infrastructure, where the cars can talk to things like traffic lights,
Wow.
road signs, stuff like that. And there's even V2P, vehicle to pedestrian.
So the car can talk to me when I'm walking?
Potentially, yeah. Like, it could warn you if you're about to step into the street.
That's amazing.
So all this information, it's flowing back and forth all the time. And AI is managing it all, making sure it's used to make things safer and more efficient for everyone.
For everyone. Okay, so it's not just about what the car can see with its own eyes, with its own sensors.
No, it's bigger than that.
It's about all this extra information it's getting from everything around it.
Exactly.
Wow.
For example, imagine a bunch of cars approaching a busy intersection, right? And they're all sharing their speed and where they're planning to go.
They're telling each other their plans.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And AI can use that information to coordinate their movements.
To avoid a crash.
To avoid crashes, yeah, and to make the traffic flow smoothly. So less waiting, less frustration.
Okay, so V2X is about communication. Got it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the good stuff. Like, what are the benefits of all this AI in car?
Benefits, yeah.
And how does this affect, people like me and you, regular folks?
Okay, well, the big one is safety. AI, it helps to reduce accidents.
That's good. I like less accidents.
Because a lot of accidents, they happen because of human error.
Right.
People get distracted, or they get tired, or maybe they've been drinking.
All those things.
But AI, it's always alert.
Always.
It never gets tired, never gets distracted.
So it makes better decisions.
It makes decisions based on data, real-time data, so it's more consistent.
Makes sense. Safer.
Safer.
Okay, so what about, what about things like making our commutes more efficient, more convenient? I mean, will AI help with that?
Definitely. Autonomous vehicles, they can adjust their routes on the fly.
To avoid traffic.
To avoid traffic, yeah. So your trips will be smoother, faster.
Okay, I like that.
And, if you're not driving, you can do other things.
I'll catch up on emails.
Emails, yeah. Or read a book.
Or take a nap.
Yeah, maybe even take a nap so your commute becomes productive or relaxing.
Instead of stressful.
Right. Less stressful.
Now, we talked about traffic a little bit before.
Uh-huh.
With the V2X stuff.
Yeah.
But how does AI specifically help with all that congestion?
Well, it's all about coordination. The AI can communicate with other cars with the traffic lights,
Right.
And that means it can optimize the flow of traffic, so fewer stops and starts, more consistent speeds.
So less stop and go traffic.
Exactly. And shorter wait times at intersections, so everything just moves more smoothly.
So it's like conducting an orchestra, kind of.
Kind of, yeah. Everything's in sync.
I like that. So One last thing. What about the environment?
The environment, yeah.
Can AI in
Yeah.
these cars help us, be more eco-friendly?
So there are a couple of ways AI can help with that. First, by planning the best routes and driving in a really efficient way, it can save fuel.
Save fuel. That's good for the planet.
Yeah, so less emissions.
And then there's the whole move towards electric vehicles, right?
Right, and that often goes hand in hand with autonomous driving.
So even less emissions.
Exactly.
Wow. So less traffic, safer roads, greener commutes. It sounds pretty good.
It does.
But, there are still some challenges,
Well,
right?
yeah, definitely.
Things we have to figure out, like what are the rules, the regulations?
Yeah, that's a big one. Like, governments all over the world, they're still working on how to regulate these self-driving cars.
Because it's new, right?
It's totally new, and they need to figure out how to integrate these cars into our current traffic laws.
Because right now, it's mainly humans driving.
Right, so it's a big change.
And then there's the whole issue of public trust. Like, how do we get people to trust these cars?
That's crucial. People need to feel safe.
No.
They need to be confident that these cars are reliable, that they're going to make the right decisions.
Yeah, no one wants to feel like they're taking a risk.
Right. So we need transparency. People need to understand how these AI systems work.
So it's not just a black box.
Right. And we need lots of testing.
Real world testing.
Real world testing, yeah. To prove that these cars are safe. And we need to be open about the technology, talk about its limits.
Be honest about what it can and can't do.
Exactly. If people don't trust these cars, they're not going to use them.
That's true. So looking ahead, what do you think? What's the future of all this? Like, for people listening, how will their lives change?
Well, I think it's really exciting. AI is getting better all the time.
Yeah.
So these autonomous vehicles, they're going to get smarter, safer, and more integrated into our lives.
So they'll become normal.
Yeah, they'll become normal.
Not just something you see in a movie.
Right. Now, there are challenges. We've talked about those.
Hmm.
But the progress in AI is amazing.
It's really moving fast.
Really fast. And I think, in the not too distant future, self-driving cars will be everywhere
Everywhere.
because the benefits are too big to ignore.
Yeah, they are. So it sounds like we're headed towards a future with fewer accidents,
Definitely.
less traffic,
Uh-huh.
and more efficient, eco-friendly transportation.
Exactly.
It's a pretty big deal, right?
It's huge.
And it's all powered by AI.
It really is. AI is at the heart of it all.
Well, this deep dive has been really eye-opening. It's clear that AI is the key to making all this happen,
It's amazing.
turning self-driving cars into a reality for all of us. And, like we've been talking about, these cars, they have the potential to change everything.
Yeah, they do.
They can make our roads safer, our commutes more efficient,
Uh-huh.
and they can help us be kinder to the planet.
It's a win-win.
It is. And while, we need to think carefully about the rules and make sure people feel comfortable with all this, the progress in AI, it's really incredible.
It's moving so fast.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see where it all goes.
Absolutely. So on that note, here's something for you guys listening to think about. Like, we've talked about how self-driving cars will change how we get around, right?
Yeah.
But what about the bigger picture?
The bigger picture, yeah.
Like, how will this change our cities?
Interesting.
How will they need to be designed differently?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And what about jobs? What will happen to people who drive for a living?
That's a really important question.
Yeah, it is. It's a whole new world of possibilities to think about. So thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it as fascinating as we did.
It was great. Thanks for having me.
And until next time, keep those wheels turning and keep thinking about the future.
And stay curious.
See you next time.